Welcome back everyone. Today we'll be beginning with session 2 of the week 6 of the course Retail Marketing Strategy. So if you remember, in the last lecture we started discussing about the location decisions. So even in this module we'll be getting along with that. Apart from that, we'll also be discussing about the site selection, Huff gravity model, and we'll also be talking about the types of leases that exist. And finally, we'll get to the exciting elements where we'll be talking about what three words, and we'll also be learning what actually is a planogram. Now, we discussed a range of location options that are available for retailers, right? Whether that was a freestanding site, out parcels, theme centers, power centers, shopping malls, and a few other things. But there are other location opportunities also which can be accessed by the retailer. So the first one is pop-up stores and other temporary locations. Now pop-up stores are basically temporary, right? And these are used to create buzz and many times conduct marketing activities. See, what a retailer can precisely do is they might set up a pop-up store, let's say in a college or at a university, just to see if there is going to be a sale of certain products, or if the newly launched products which are being tested as a part of test marketing will be liked by their target audience or not. So many times this is what the purpose of pop-up stores is. They can also be used to estimate the demand, and as I said, precisely to conduct target marketing activities, and these many times are managed by a single person, right? Because the whole idea is to test, and this is not something which is permanent. So another kind of location which you can have is a store within a store. Now this is all about leasing space to other retailers within your retail establishment. Now the whole idea is it should be done in such a way that the store within a store should actually be an anchor, which means it should bring in more of footfall. If the retail establishment which is actually leasing out the space is an anchor itself, then they'll definitely be charging more of the rent for providing space. So this is one perspective which we need to consider. Now a merchandise kiosk specifically indicates small selling spaces in walkways. Now even when you are looking at merchandise kiosk, they can be of different types. One is which could be product kiosk, which means which are precisely meant for selling products. Now the another one could be precisely of informational, which means the whole idea is to provide more of information to the customers and prospective customers about the products. And many times you will also see kiosk with respect to taking orders. So if you have visited airports, you must have seen McDonald's or other retailer food joints are many times using kiosks to take orders so that the crowd can easily be managed. And the last one which you have is airport stores, which you must have seen while walking down or around the airports. And this becomes important because as a part of many studies, it has been mentioned that there is a considerable time that people spend in airports just roaming around here and there, or maybe doing window shopping. That's why they also become an important location opportunities. Now what you see on screen is an example of a Amul pop-up store. This is precisely temporary and could be used to maybe test new products or to create buzz about certain new products, or just to maybe understand how the preference of prospective consumers is changing. Apart from this, this can also be considered as an example of pop-up store by Body Shop, right? Along with that, what you see on screen is a merchandise kiosk. Now this is how they are, and precisely these have to be operated by the customers themselves, or sometimes you might also see a customer executive or a sales executive standing there to help the prospects. Now as I was telling you, kiosk can be of different types. What you see on screen is precisely a kiosk which is used for taking orders. They are not product kiosks or merchandise kiosks which are selling products or being used as a means to sell products. They are only used for taking orders and are very good with respect to managing crowds, right? Now as we move further, there is again an important topic which we need to discuss and understand. This is all about the kinds of shopping behavior as far as the retailers location decisions are concerned. Now the first thing which we need to understand is convenience shopping. Convenience, right? So the whole idea is to minimize the shopping effort for the prospects or the customers. Now these are those customers which already have clear defined product choices, and these are also going to be relatively insensitive to price and indifferent to brands as well, which means in many cases they are going to be brand loyal. It's not like they'll be executing a lot of effort in searching for product information or visiting a lot more other retailers before they make the final purchase of the product. They neither spend much time in evaluating brands and would rather prefer quick purchasing. That's why with respect to convenience shopping, it becomes important for a retailer to have those locations which are near to the customers, or you can say in which not much effort would be required as far as visiting these particular retailers are concerned and product purchases are concerned, right? That's why this captures the essence of convenience, something which is near to customers. And one of the product categories which again can be considered in this is groceries. With respect to buying groceries, you are only going to visit the retailer which is nearby. It's not like you will be investing too much of time and effort in traveling to far off places to buy groceries. So that's why in this case it becomes important that retailers locate their stores near to where the customers are. Now another thing which we need to consider is comparison shopping. Now with respect to comparison shopping, the comparison captures the essence of this kind of shopping. People would be doing an extensive information search, they would be visiting different retailers, then they would be kind of deciding on which product to buy. Now these can be aligned with product categories like furniture, appliances, apparels, consumer electronics, etc. Now in this case the whole idea is to kind of offer a hub for retailers, in the sense you will see all competing retailers, they will be operating from the same location, same locations. In this case many times you will see the retailers will have adjacent locations, in ways definitely the competition is going to be intense, but the advantage is just because the competing retailers are located adjacent to each other, many consumers see this as an advantage with respect to comparison shopping. It's not like they first have to go to market A, then market B, then market C to compare. It's more like they are going to one place and all the retailers are there, they can compare their products and they can then make their final choices for the products. But as I was saying, the disadvantage is this is indeed going to be a case of intense competition, and many times you will also see the prices are also going to be very competitive, because if one retailer reduces the prices, the others will also have to do so to survive in the particular market. Now another case is of specialty shopping. Now in the case of specialty shopping, consumers know what they want and they are not willing to accept substitutes. So they'll be willing to travel extra miles to visit that particular retail establishment and to get the product they want, right? Along with this, we also need to consider the concept of density of target market. Now large densities are for convenience stores but not for specialty stores, because as far as the specialty stores are concerned, only those people would be coming there who have clear cut choices, and they would even be willing to pay a premium price in getting those products. So large density will actually as an impediment to kind of indicate the brand positioning or to differentiate it from other products, or let's say brands in the market. So this is again one thing which you need to understand as far as the alignment of density of target market and various kinds of shopping situations are concerned, right? So the another concept which we need to understand as far as the location dynamics are concerned is retail site location. Now there is a difference between location and a retail site. Now location could be, let's say, R&T Nagar in a particular city, but the site is going to be that specific plot which the retailer wants to have as a retail establishment. Let's say if you are talking about residential complex which could be located in Express Street, the site is going to be that particular building or a house number where you want to go, right? So that is the difference which exists between a particular location and a site. Site is pinpoint the particular place in any of the locations which the retailer will be picking up or will get to access as a retail establishment, right? So these are important factors which should be taken into consideration before any retail site is finalized. Now first is strategic fit with the target market, economic conditions, competition, and finally the cost of operating that store in that particular location. Now whenever you are talking about economic conditions, we take account of the growth of population as well as employment. Now just imagine which retailer would like to open a store in a place where people are not employed. This also indicates that they will not be having that disposable income to buy products and services. Vis-a-vis on the other hand, well-employed population definitely means high purchasing power, which also captures the essence or indicates high retail sales. So these are economic conditions which needs to be considered before any retail site is finalized. Along with this, you also need to check for competition. Now level of competition is definitely going to impact the demand for a retailer's merchandise, right? But this can work if there is a high competition or you see competing retailers in one strip. This can definitely work for comparison shopping as we were discussing earlier, but not for other product categories, right? Let's say if you talk about specifically Walmart, their early success can indeed be attributed to their location strategy, because they opened their stores only in those areas where they had limited competition, and that's why they were also successful in being on the preferential list for a lot of consumers, because there was no competition and people were only visiting Walmart in these particular localities, giving a huge push in being a part of the consideration set or being preferred as compared to other retailers. Now the another factor which becomes important is strategic fit. Now this simply indicates that it is best to open a retail store where you have aligned target market. Let's say if there is a particular product which only targeted at youth, now we open a retail store selling this particular product in localities where mostly senior citizens are living, right? So this is not going to make much of a sense, and even all other things are going to be futile. So while picking up a retail site, it must be made sure that it is precisely occupied by the target market audience, or what you consider as your ideal customer profile, right? Otherwise things might not work in the best possible ways. Along with this, a retailer also needs to check for rental cost, cost of transportation, warehouse and distribution cost, cost of hiring people, whether it is going to be skilled or unskilled labor. This also needs to be considered, because the cost that you might be required to a skilled labor in Mumbai is definitely going to be very different in a place like Roorkee. Even within a city, the cost of living could be very different in a particular locality as compared to other locality. So all these factors also need to be taken into account before you pick up a specific retail site, or precisely we can say when a retailer decides to expand as far as their retailing network is concerned. Now there are a few more factors which need to be considered with respect to a site. Now that is traffic flow and accessibility, parking facilities, visibility, adjacent tenants, restrictions and cost. Now whenever we talk about traffic flow and accessibility, what we mean is we are considering the facet of number of vehicles and pedestrians that pass by the site. So when the traffic flow is very high, it also indicates that you might have more of people visiting your store, right? Because many people are passing by, it's all about how you attract them. Now traffic count indeed becomes an important evaluation point when we are measuring the site's attractiveness. Now just think of opening a retail store in a place where nobody comes. You don't see customers passing by, you might see a few people coming once in a month or things like that. It is indeed going to be not a very attractive location. That's why the facet of traffic flow becomes very important, right? Along with this, what we need to consider is definitely accessibility. Now this indicates the ease with which customers can get into the store. Now we need to consider the facet of barriers with respect to this. So there can be natural barriers like rivers, mountains, but you can also have artificial barriers like rail tracks or road tracks or highways and parks. All these basically amount to artificial barriers. Now see, maybe you can look at it from this perspective. If there is a particular retail store which is kind of established, or you can reach out to this particular location after crossing the highway, so it might require more of effort from your side, right? Whereas if there are locations which are very near to you and kind of easily accessed, you will definitely be giving more kind of preference to them, until unless there is a huge difference with respect to merchandise, or the other retailer is kind of offering a very unique merchandise which is not available everywhere. Now in that case, situations can be different to a major extent or to some extent depending upon the kind of merchandise they are selling. But barriers are definitely going to delimit your preference for a particular retailer. So this is again one important facet which needs to be taken into consideration, how easy it is for the people to get to a particular retail store or to visit a particular retail store. Now the another important factor is parking. The amount and quality of parking facilities are definitely critical. Now let's say if there are no parking facilities, this also delimits the number of people that would be visiting your store, right? Many times you will see, specifically with respect to the shopping malls, if it takes a too much of time in parking, and even it is not many times available just because of the rush that goes to that particular mall, you will see people will start changing their preference and they might start going to a different place altogether, right? Visibility also occupies an important place. One advantage is it brings in more of awareness, because people can see it straight if they are walking down the street or even when they are passing by, right? So awareness kind of is an added advantage, and it also brings into the fact that they will find it more accessible. Along with that, the facet of adjacent tenants also needs to be considered. Locations with complementary as well as competing adjacent retailers offer the potential to build traffic. Now this works best for comparison shopping, but many times as far as the restrictions are concerned, you will see many retailers who could be paying higher rent or might agree to pay higher rent on the condition that they'll not be having adjacent competing retailer. Let's say you cannot decide to have smart point and more at one location, because it will not work well for both of them. They might end up eating each other's sales, right? Whereas with respect to comparison shopping, this is definitely going to work well. Otherwise, restrictions can also be in the form of signages, and let's say where you can have your hoardings and where you can put up boards and all those things, but that precisely depends on the committee which is taking care of the particular retail establishment. Now that could be a shopping mall or even could be a shopping center, but in this particular scheme of things, we are precisely focusing on the restrictions which can be aligned with the type of tenants that could be allowed in a store. Everybody would prefer having an anchor store, right, because they bring in more of foot traffic as compared to a parasite store which thrive on the customer traffic of the anchor stores. Now with respect to location dynamics, we need to understand one important model, Huff gravity model. Now this is precisely used for determining the attractiveness of a particular retail site, and this depends upon two factors, size and time. Now the larger the store, the more the variety, the better it is. Now it also indicates this is also going to take attractiveness to the next level. If a retail establishment is very large, it will be offering more of merchandise, more of variety and more of retailing options as far as the customers are concerned, right? Which again makes it a very attractive point. Another factor which is going to complement this is the time which people take with respect to reaching to that particular retail establishment. If the time which is required in reaching to this retail establishment is less, this is definitely going to have more pulling power. It is going to enhance attractiveness. But if it takes a lot of time to people to reach to that particular location, it is indeed going to have less pulling power. See, another context which you need to consider in this particular situation is of trade-off. If a retail store is far away, people will definitely start looking at it from the perspective of benefits and sacrifices and why they would specifically go to that particular retail establishment, only because if the benefits overpower sacrifices. So that's why it also impacts attractiveness to a certain level. Now we'll be discussing about the type of leases that can exist, right? So the first one is percentage. Now in case of a percentage lease, rent is based on the percentage of sales, right? This can be inflated by a maintenance fee, but the rent which the person who has occupied a particular place or is taking it on lease will be paying it to the owner as a form of the percentage of sales. Now this can have further bifurcations which can be with a specified maximum, which means the percentage of sales decoding the maximum amount which will be paid to the owner of that particular retail site as a rent, or this can also have a bifurcation with respect to the specified minimum. Let's say even if there are no sales or very less sales, then indeed this amount has to be paid as a part of the rent to the particular owner of the retail site. Another could be fixed rate. Now in this case, the retailer pays a fixed amount per month over the life of the lease, but this can have a graduated lease clause, which means the rent increases by a fixed amount over a period of time. Another case could be maintenance increase recoupment lease, in which it allows the landlord to increase rent if insurance, property taxes or utility bills increase. This is more like safeguarding the owner of the property in case of any contingencies which could be related to increase in cost of the utilities, property taxes or insurance as the case may be. Now we finally get to the two key discussion points which eventually will highlight the location dynamics or the changing location dynamics, to put it in a very apt way. Now the first thing is, if you talk about the perspectives of online retailing taking over or growing, we need to understand how much importance will location decisions have. As I was telling you in the beginning, if you have a particular retailer who has decided that they'll only be operating online, location will not make much of a more of sense for them, right? Because anyway orders are being placed online and consumers are visiting the virtual stores, right? So in that case it might not make more of sense. But we cannot think of situations where everything is being sold online, whether we talk on a national level or we talk on an international or a global level. Physical stores will have their own advantages or will have their own charm as far as the shopping experiences are concerned. But the facet which we need to understand is, are we in transition in respect of location to experience based? Right now in this case, what matters is no matter where the location is, if you have successfully decoded the facet of offering unique and memorable experiences to the customers, you will many times see that the customers would prefer your retail location. So that's why we say, or we ask, are we in that transition phase where the experience is going to have more of importance as far as consumer choices are concerned. Apart from this, as I had just explained, we also really need to ponder how much location decisions can be given importance in the world of online retailing. But as far as summing up this discussion is concerned, I would again say the best is to look at it from the perspective of experiences. If a retailer succeeds in offering unique and memorable experiences to the customers, they are definitely going to have an upper hand as compared to other competing retailers. Now we finally get to the another exciting element, which is food for thought, and as explained to you in the beginning, we'll be learning about what three words. Now this is precisely a proprietary geocoding method which is called as what three words and is used to identify every location on Earth's surface with a resolution of roughly 3 meters. What three words Limited is a company established in London, England, and the technique which is precisely used by them converts the three dictionary terms into a three permanently fixed geographic coordinates. Now this is indeed very different from Google Maps. We'll also be discussing about it, or I'll be sharing a snapshot which will give you a perspective of what three words being different from Google Maps. But to understand more of it, we'll be looking at this video which is definitely going to explain you how what three words works. So please have a look at this video and then we'll be moving forward.
अबे तू किधर है? नंबर 12 MG रोड यानी महात्मा गांधी रोड, सिग्नल से क्रॉस, वहाँ पे चाय वाला होगा क्रॉस, सीधा जाके किताब गली, फिर पान टपरी से होली क्रॉस, उधर से राइट पे दिखे भगवान, शिव मंदिर नहीं भोलेनाथ, पिंक बंगला विद ग्रीन खिड़की, सामने उसके घर है यार। तू किधर है? अल्फांसो वाला नहीं, लेमन वाला यार, शॉपिंग मॉल नहीं, शॉपिंग सेंटर देखो, बाजू में काजू बादाम बेचे, 4 रास्ता उसके सामने आ गया।
Addresses in India simply complex, पर what three words पे हर 3 मीटर स्क्वायर का है पता, बस 3 रैंडम वर्ड्स का। तो ऐप खोलो, 3 वर्ड एड्रेस शेयर करो और मिल गया पता। What three words, making addresses simply simple.
So I really hope that you enjoyed looking at this video and you gained some perspective about what three words. So as I had told you in the beginning also, I'll also be telling you about a brand which partnered with what three words, and that brand was certainly Tata. So what you see on screen is the snapshot indicating from the express drives that Tata Motors announces partnership with what three words offline addressing system, which was first in India. So in order to read more about it, you can definitely search for this, or you can refer to the link provided in the slides, and it will take you to the exact particular link where you will be able to kind of get more information about it. Now as far as the difference between what three words and Google Maps is concerned, I would urge you to go to this particular snapshot, and you can also share your feedback and your views on what three words as far as Google Maps is concerned on forum, and we will indeed be very happy to read about it. Now we will be getting to the last segment, which is learning something new, and today we will be learning about Planogram. Now Planogram precisely demonstrates how products can be positioned or how they should be positioned in the store shelves to increase sales. It is more like understanding what should be the arrangement of different product categories in a particular retail store to make sure that they are not only attractive for the customers, but they also give a huge push to the sales. In other words, it is also said it is more like a formula that suggests where and how we can position our goods most effectively as far as a particular retail store is concerned. So if you want to understand about the advantages and disadvantages of a planogram, this is how it is. First is the arrangement, if they are arranged in a scientific way or by taking account of the neuromarketing, or let's say by considering where the customers look first, or what is the kind of product categories or combination of product categories that people look collectively and will complement each other. If this is done in this way, it is definitely going to bring in more of sales. Another thing is it is indeed also going to improve the experiences of customers, shopping experiences, because many times if the arrangement of products is done according to planogram and in effective ways, as I was telling you, considering the psychology factors, neuromarketing factors, the experience is definitely going to improve, because certain products which people look to buy collectively or buy in one go, if they are arranged near to each other, that is definitely going to decrease the effort which could be required by customers in searching products. It can also bring in a certain feel good factor, eventually leading to optimal utilization of spaces, right, and a particular retail establishment. This can also be looked at it from the perspective of brand consistency, because one way of arranging products could be in the form of brands, and that's where the brand consistency is going to creep in. Another way, it is also going to bring in more of benefits with respect to inventory management, but the disadvantages are this can lead to rigidity in the sense, like if you start following certain parameters or rules, you might not get too much creative about how products can be arranged in a particular retail location. Now this brings in kind of not only rigidity but also limits the creativity. It can also delimit the facet of individual store variation. Now two stores could be in entirely different locations where the targets markets are different, their thought processes are different, how they purchase, how they search for information, all these facets are also different. So if you are using planograms and you are not accounting for this, then this again is going to be a disadvantage. Right, it can also lead to some implementation cost as far as small retailers and big retailers are concerned, and you might also be required to have the cost of certain experts to decide how certain products should be arranged in a particular retail store, how they can be arranged on various shelves, and again this might also require maintenance as well as update efforts from a particular retailer. Now if you think there is a lot more considering the advantages and disadvantages in this context, so please feel free to share it with us on forum and we'll be happy to read about it. Now as far as this particular module was concerned, I really hope that you enjoyed learning about the facets of a site, site selection and site characteristics. Along with that, I also hope that you learned kind of a new things with respect to retailing dynamics now, whether it was with respect to what 3 words or a planogram. So looking forward to meeting you in the next session. Wishing you a good day for now.